streaming on Twitter, streaming on Facebook. And it's waiting for more on YouTube. Great. Okay. Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome to day 3, Wednesday, June 15th.
Day 3.
Day 3, the hump day, as they say, here at the Nickel Independent Film Festival. I'm once again here in my winter chalet to talk to some filmmakers from last night's in-person screening at the LSPU Hall. We had 2 great screenings last night, 7 p.m. and 9:30, and we have 2 great screenings again tonight at the hall. But if you missed last night's films, the films that we're about to talk about right now, they are available online over at nickelfestival.com. So once you hear about these films, you're going to be so excited to go see them, and you're going to be like, "Oh, I missed them." Guess what? Still a chance. So I'm here with Elling Lean, the executive director of the Nickel Film Festival. Hello, Elling.
Greetings.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah, that's festivals. I mean, yeah.
We're working hard, folks.
We're working hard. Late or up early.
We're up late. We're up early. We're at it all the time to bring you the best in independent filmmaking from Newfoundland, Labrador, Canada, and around the world. And we're going to talk to one of the filmmakers from last night's program, which is Stephen Bunnell, the director of Random Thoughts. Stephen, hello.
Hi, Devin and Elaine, everyone. Yes, so very happy to see Random Thoughts screen last night at the Nickel.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about it, Stephen? What's the film about?
Well, it's about actually I doing research on the Cooper family many years ago. Actually, when our local historical society came into possession of some of the family photo albums of the Coopers who lived, they were lighthouse keepers on the eastern side of Random Island for many generations. So I reading through some of Sadie Cooper's manuscripts and her poetry and her writings, I got inspired to try to tell a film about make a film about but Sadie's life, like it's a mini documentary incorporating some visual elements through animation, because Sadie didn't do filmmaking or animation back in 1915. But I always had a feeling that maybe if she were alive today in this era, maybe she would have probably taken her hand to some of these art forms. Painting was one of her passions, and also colorizing or tinting black and white photographs. So I want to make kind of like a heartwarming, like mini documentary, short film about Sadie, and some connection to Random Head.
What was it about, so you said, you were looking through the archives of this whole family. What was it about Sadie in particular that, like, what drew you to her?
I think Sadie wanted to had a connection to the world outside her own place, essentially. I mean, she had pen pals in Israel and Germany and England even back then, and would walk like 3 hours a day to go to the post office in Deer Harbor. And I think for me, like, I live in rural Newfoundland. I'm a filmmaker in rural Newfoundland, and I kind of identify with some of those things. You're living in a small place, and you try to have a connection to the outside world. Even though when I was really younger, actually, being a teenager in high school, I used to make short animated movies, and of course that was a different, Newfoundland film industry back in the 1980s was probably, just getting on the go. So I feel a lot of my connections were to elsewhere in Canada. So I kind of felt naturally more drawn to Sadie, probably, as opposed to some of the others.
Sure. Yeah. It really comes through too, like, because like it's almost like you as an artist are like connecting to this, like artists from the same place through art.
That's right. Yeah.
And you mentioned the animation that you're sort of, I think that's really interesting that you were sort of positioning yourself like, oh, like this is maybe something, if she had the technology available to her, maybe she would do. What was the process of making those animated portions of the film like?
I started last year. I spent maybe a couple of months at it. A lot of it's obviously it's not computer animation or digital animation. I'm try to be totally analog when I can be. So a lot of sand animation, which was an animated form that was employed by Caroline Leaf at the National Film Board in the 1960s and 70s there. So it's using like silhouettes. So basically you take a glass table, which is illuminated underneath, and your camera is on top, and it's like stop motion animation essentially. So I create all sorts of like abstract and other objects that would represent like sea life or, a whale, and kind of it's a nice form of animation actually.
Yeah, it's really it's really lovely, and I'd imagine going frame by frame with your film camera, it's like labor intensive as well.
It's labor intensive, but I kind of find there's a certain creature comfort in it actually. I find it's a sense of solitude working with it, right? And most of the films I make, I don't usually involving maybe one or two actors, and the rest is using animation there. I find that's where I have most control over that environment.
Well, something I think you and I share, Stephen, and we've talked a little bit about it over the years, is a real love for analog filmmaking, for shooting on film. What keeps 16 millimeter in particular? What keeps bringing you back to that process? Because it's obviously takes more work. It's doesn't have all the comforts of digital technology. But what keeps bringing you back to it?
Well, I guess that's what I started off with in the beginning. I know when I first joined NIFCO back in 1989. I know I'm kind of giving away my age, but I'm 53 years old. But I remember joining NIFCO in '89 there and meeting Derek Norman, and that was the standard thing, was being shot on film. And I had kind of taken even early 90s and made a few short films, and then over time I guess I kind of got away with it. I got back into filmmaking again probably. I shot video over the years too for different other projects, but back in I think 2014 decided to pick up my Bolex again and get back into film and shooting on Kodak 16 millimeter. And but I've recently, a few years ago, I've always been like a still photographer actually, and always done my own darkroom processing of still film. So I kind of got into actually developing my own 16 millimeter at home, like black and white mainly, to a different processing tank. And so most of the stuff I do my own processing, like usually by like film stock has gone up in price in recent years. Obviously, it's jumped up. I mean, you're looking at, remember in 1994, it could be $17 for a roll. Wow. Today, it's probably $60 for a roll.
And that's not even processing and stuff too. But
I kind of make it affordable by doing my own processing at home, using the same chemistry we use if you're developing like black and white negatives in still photography. So
it's amazing.
Same process.
I have a million like nerd out questions I would ask you right now, but we'll keep it to
later on.
Later on, some other time we'll talk about it. I guess just to wrap up for random thoughts, that your I think the last film that played at the nickel of yours, forgive me, I've written it down. Dorian Coin. I was like, it was a coin and Dory or Dorian Coin. It also kind of was about looking into the past, like Newfoundland's past. What is there anything you hope people take away from these stories of Newfoundland's past?
Yeah, I think it's just for those who have a love of history, and it just opened the doors to our past and learning about a piece of Newfoundland, our culture, our history, and I'm like, it's the genre I've kind of developed. I mean, we got back into filmmaking. I'm experimenting with all types of genres. I mean, I'm not really, I kind of like animation. I kind of like the documentary style too. I'm kind of drawn to that style and that mixed storytelling. Some animation and documentary combined. I think it's a genre I like to stay with.
Well, we can't wait to see what's next. I love this film, and I'm so happy we were able to share it and that we could speak about it today.
Great, thanks.
All right, thank you, Stephen. All right, we're going to keep moving along, and we're going to talk to our next filmmaker, whose film played in the 9:30 show last night. So if you're looking for that online, that's where you find it. And it is Peter Collins with the film I'm Fine. Hello, Peter.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you. So, yeah, kind of same first question. Can you tell us a little bit about what the film is?
Well, the film is a simplistic look at a character who's going through a breakup or a hard time in their life, and they begin to, I guess, sort of succumb to a depression, which is physically represented by the character finds a small black cube on the beach, and throughout the film, we see it increasing in size and size, which it correlates to the character's sort of inner state of mind.
Yeah, and so when did this idea first come to you to sort of, uh, create? Yeah, you sort of make this this very very real thing a lot of people experience, depression or a particularly hard time in their life, and shrink it all down into this black cube. When did that idea sort of come to you?
I had been going through a breakup of my own there
Mm.
when I had written it, and I don't know exactly where the idea of the whole black cube came from. I wanted a really simplistic object that could represent a character's depression, and I guess I just decided, oh, a black cube is kind of it's simple enough, but then you can also it's easily scalable if I wanted to sort of increase the size as, like I said, a physical representation of the state of depression of the character.
Yeah. Well, I like it. It's interesting because I like there's this almost supernatural element to it. Like it's is that are like those kinds of films like the kind of thing you're drawn to? Like having more abstract or more sort of supernatural elements in to kind of represent those kinds of ideas.
Yeah, totally. I seem to be drawn to things that are sort of grounded in a real world, but then have one or two elements of supernatural. I think you call it magical realism, maybe.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. It's just I find those things are it's an unusual and different way of conveying story points,
Yeah.
which it kind of draws me in.
Yeah, and I think that really like it's that's illustrated really really well in the film. It's also really gorgeously shot, I'll say, because you shot the film yourself too. Yes, did I see that correctly?
Yes, yeah. I shot the film. I had it was myself, and I did the camera work.
Yeah.
We had three other crew members.
Oh, small crew.
One actor. Yeah, it was basically just me and a bunch of friends, and I had written up this small little script. And I tried to keep it small, actually, because I knew I wanted to just do this on my own.
Right.
Because I guess where it was a more personal story for me.
And so wearing all those different hats like allowed you a certain amount of creative freedom to kind of move quickly and things like that. How long of a shoot was it?
It was done in a day.
Wow. Oh wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like you said, having a small number of people, it does allow you to move faster, but you do have to wear a lot of hats, and that has its own drawbacks in itself.
I think the film also like it conveys like a really important message about mental health. Is there anything anything kind of hope people get away from it or get from it after seeing it?
Well, I know like it's not a new concept for people to sort of keep their emotions to themselves and stuff, but I don't know. It's just be nice if people could just realize that sometimes they might need to talk to someone, or because I like we had mentioned that everyone kind of goes through ups and downs in their life.
Totally. Yeah.
And even if a person doesn't realize it, they might think to themselves, I'm fine." Sort of drop the title there.
Yes.
It can never hurt to just have a chat with someone.
Well, I love that. I love the idea of it, creating conversations between people. I noticed. I believe you're a recent or a graduate of the Toronto Film School. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in Newfoundland now, though.
I actually did the online portion of
Oh, okay,
Toronto
cool.
Film School. It was a
Nice.
2-year program, and the pandemic actually started kind of soon after I'd begun the program, and the in-person classes for Toronto Film School were suspended for a bit, but they kept doing the online portion. So I guess I kind of lucked out by choosing to do it online, but at the same time, an online film school kind of has its drawbacks where you don't really get to collaborate a lot with classmates or
Right.
combine your resources to make things.
But that's totally fair. But it seems, even with a small crew, it seems like you've amassed some people around you here in Newfoundland to help you make films. Anything else coming up with the pipeline? Taking a break? Where are you at these days?
I had recently actually. I have a first-time film that's in post-production currently that I shot through NIFCO a month or two ago, maybe.
Oh my God, amazing. Well, that's something really exciting. I hope we get to see it maybe next year. Who knows? Who can say?
You'll have to watch next year.
Yes, we'll have to watch out. Well, Peter, thank you so much. It's a really, really beautiful film. So I hope that people watching this conversation will go check it out. Available online right now. Thank you, Peter. All right. Next up, we've got another film. We're going to talk to the filmmakers behind Last Rites, the director, Anastasia Hopkins, and the writer, Trudy Mullins. Hello, are you both there?
No, just me.
Oh.
There she is.
No, yes,
here.
we're all here. Maybe, how about Trudy, as the writer of the film, why don't you tell us what the film is about?
The film is about a young a man who's just been released from prison, and the things that he faces in his life, trying to find a job as someone with a record, trying to get back into his child's life, and the things that prevent him from reaching that goal. And as a side, we also wanted to show that when you don't know someone, sometimes their very last thoughts can move you and can move someone to do something else, regardless of what the other person's background was, whether they were a good person or a kind person or someone who'd committed crimes.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a really lovely sentiment, and I think one thing I think was interesting about it. I guess we should note that it was made during one of our Nickel challenges, yes, and I'd say a lot of the time, not a lot of the time, but oftentimes, we get a lot of comedy, things like that, and this is has a real sort of strong emotional, dramatic core to it. Anna, what made your team kind of want to go in that direction for this challenge?
Well, for the challenge, the theme was gray area, so we wanted to kind of explore that on multiple levels. So not just the prisoner, trying to get his life back on track and then making bad decisions, but also other characters within the story kind of wandering into that moral gray area. So for me, it was very interesting to try and bring that out in that time constraint. It was quite challenging and fun to do because we had such a wonderful team put together.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things I was curious about. Was it maybe for both of you, developing that emotional core in such a short amount of time? What were how long did it take to write? I guess is the question.
We came up with the basic plot within, I'd say, 45 minutes for the basic idea, and then Trudy went off to write the script, and then she would send it to me, and I'd be like, no. I'd correct a couple of things, and then I'd send it back, and she'd go, no, and send it back. So it was back and forth. I think we finished the full script around 1 a.m., or was it later, Trudy? I can't remember.
I think 1 a.m. was right.
Yeah. And so we sent that out to our actors. Luckily, when we do the 48s, we try and gather potential cast and crew ahead of time. And we had this lovely pool to go with. And actually the man who starred as Joe, Nick, he was actually just there to help out as crew, and we ended up making him our star because he just seemed to have a lot of physical looks that matched the character, but also he seemed very connected to the story right away. And to me, I'm both an actor and a director and a writer, so seeing that like connection just made me go, okay, this is the guy. I know I can trust him to bring this out. And our other actors, we were very lucky with Michelle, who played the 911 operator. She had done another short film with us, and she was just bang on for that film. So we knew that we could trust with her. And with the little girl, Kira Lewis is just amazing. Her natural instincts and stuff, she was a dream to work with. It's not often you get an actor where you don't have to give a whole lot of direction, that they get it right away. And for a kid, that it's even like more mind-blowing to me. So again, we just really lucked out in a lot of areas. And then with our camera team and our editing team, they did both our camera work and our sound, and then edit it for us. Kirk and Alex, I kept calling them my camera whisperers all day, just because the natural instinct, before I could say, look, this is what I want next, they were already kind of like setting up the shot and then going, this is what you want, right? So we had like a lot of just wonderful little things click together for that film, and it just kind of made the whole thing magical.
Yeah, I think for these challenge films, a great team is so important. I know you've both done them before. Trudy, your name often pops up when we do our challenges. Do you have any advice for people who, we just had one that passed, but we do them all the time, who want to enter these sort of like fast-paced challenge films? Do you have any advice for those people?
Sure. Follow the rule, keep it simple. Remember, you're writing a story, but you have to write a story around what you have, not what you don't. So, go ahead and write something. But if all you have is two guys, a goat, and a bar to film in, then
that's pretty good.
Story around. Yeah, absolutely. I always tell people, stay away from period pieces, because costumes can be hard to find, right? You've only got 48 hours. So
that's true.
We don't have access to Paramount Studios backlot and their big costume array. So, write with what you have, come up with a simple story and film it good, and just film it as best you can. It don't have to be over the top at all.
Well, I think that's really, really great advice. I think that's a really, really lovely film. I loved hearing about your collaboration. I hope that we see more from both of you soon. And I want to thank you both for chatting with me today.
All right. Thanks, Devin and Elling. Thanks for having us, everyone.
Thanks, guys. All right. We're going to speak with our last filmmaker of the day, and that is Nathan Dunphy, director of Switch. Nathan, you there?
I'm there. Hi. Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you, Nathan. So Switch, tell us about it. What's the film about?
So actually, ironically enough, I'm also a graduate of Toronto Film School, and this was my my final thesis film. And it's essentially just a relationship between two people kind of declining as another one kind of grows, and just kind of there's a big switch in your life.
And it's also, well, it also heavily there, there's sort of, it's sort of centered around skateboarding culture. And I was curious because we haven't met before. Do you come from like a like skating background? Is that something that you were able to access for this?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of based it all around that, because it was something I'm kind of comfortable in. And, it's been a big part of my life for many years. So I think it's a good vehicle to kind of move this story along.
Yeah, I also like, because I'm sort of a like casual skating fan, and kind of like what I was saying to Anna and Trudy, about challenge films. When I think of like skate films, like Yeah Right, or Tengu God of Mischief, largely silly maybe, but this is like a real emotional core to it. What made you want to bring that like skateboarding and that emotion together?
Well, I think it's something that's not done a whole lot. It's been done in the last couple of years a few times with like mid 90s and Skate Kitchen, but in the overall grand scheme of things, I think it's kind of a missed kind of subculture that doesn't get talked about a lot, because it's looked at as kind of goofy or just kind of like edgy or tough or whatever. But I think there's a lot of like really emotional stories that could come from this little kind of subculture piece of the world.
Yeah, that's something I really loved about it. What about the casting? Were these actors who like they learned how to skate, or were they skateboarders? How did the casting go for this film?
So ironically enough, I met one of them through Toronto Film School, and he just happened to be a skater, and he kind of fit the role. Now that's Josh, the main guy. So I reached out to him, and we kind of hit it off over Zoom, which is a very awkward way to audition actors. And then the other cast member who played Daniel, his name is Christian. He was actually recommended to me by a friend, because he skates and he acts and all this kind of stuff. And then we did our little Zoom thing, and we hit it off again, and he fit the character perfectly. So all the pieces kind of fell into place. Really lovely.
Yeah, no, it's a really lovely film. Are you back in Newfoundland now, or are you still in Toronto?
I am, yeah.
Nice. You working on anything new these days, or taking it easy after graduating? I was there.
Nothing huge, just kind of writing here and there, dabbling with a couple little projects.
Amazing. Well, I think this is like a really like solid introduction for you. This is your first film in the Nickel, yes? Okay,
Yep.
Cool. Just like, make sure. But yeah, I was really impressed with it, because I really love that sort of mix of like a strong emotional core with skate culture that I found really interesting. Is there anything that is like kind of like the similar question that I asked to Peter? Is there anything you want people like take away from the film?
Maybe not so much take away, but I just hope people can kind of relate to some of the characters and kind of the situations that kind of go on in it, and just kind of enjoy it because of that.
Yeah, I hope they do as well. Well, thanks so much. I think that's everybody. So I think we're going to wrap up now. I want to thank all of our filmmakers today for coming and speaking with us. Both today, the ones we have here, and all the other filmmakers that are part of these two screenings. I'm going to just quickly run through what we have tonight at the LSPU Hall to look forward to. We've got two screenings. First one is at 7 p.m. presented by Classic Hits Coast 101. In that we have Downfall, Rust, The Boy in the Mountain. I'm going to try Baladlan Seguilacton. Proximity. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Proximity by local filmmaker Jamie Miller. Little Bird by Tim Miles, Manny Petty. And then we have a second screening at 9:30 p.m. that includes The Jam, El Poso, Negative, Cham, The Trick, Front Window, Mars Community, The Untouchable, and The Gambler. Really great lineup of films. we're in the midst of it. The festival's happening. It's all happening, and we've still got plenty more left for people to check out. Elling, am I forgetting anything?
No. Also, we're 2 days in, but those films are still available to stream online. They're available for each screening is available for 48 hours online. So definitely check out the earlier ones as well if you missed them.
For sure. All right, with that, I want to thank everybody again, and we will see you tonight at the hall or back here in my cozy winter chalet tomorrow at 11
It is
a.m.
June 15th.
Yeah, but hey, listen, the chalet is eternal. The chalet knows no time. It's not, you know, it transcends. So it's forever the winter chalet in my heart. All right.
Amen.
Thanks, everybody.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everybody.
Bye. Bye.